Hey guys, Siemanko, I'm Mysticle, and today I've got quite an interesting video for you, as we're going to be comparing the anti-gravity A1 to the DJI Avata 360. And if you've seen my review, you'll already know that I was thoroughly impressed with the A1. So let's see how it compares to the Avata. Just before this video begins, however, I feel it's important to mention it is being sponsored by anti-gravity. However, if you guys have been with the channel for a while now, you'll know all thoughts and opinions here are my own. I'm going to have all the categories for this comparison in chapters for you guys down below, so feel free to skip to anything that interests you the most. Enough yapping, let's begin. First, we've got size and portability, and I'm gonna go ahead and say right away that this is a simple win for the A1. It folds down, area-wise, into the size of roughly a large chocolate bar, and genuinely fits in a jacket pocket. And at 249 grams, with the standard battery, it's under registration thresholds for most countries. No license, no paperwork, just fly. That combination of tiny, illegal, but powerful is quite rare. The Avata 360, on the other hand, doesn't fold at all. It's almost double the weight at 455 grams and takes up more space, which means that here you're committing to carrying it around properly, which changes how spontaneous your shot can actually be. Now, to give the Avata a plus side here, it's got built-in prop guards, which gives you that ease of mind, so you don't have to worry about hitting things or bumping into them. It is worth noting that you can additionally buy prop guards for the anti-gravity A1, however, this will bump it over that 249 gram threshold. As for noise, the Avata is also noticeably louder. It's higher pitched and audible from further away, while the anti-gravity just kind of fades away as you fly further. Now, we briefly mentioned those regulations, so let's jump right back into them. At 249 grams, the A1 with its standard battery sits in EU C0. This means no license needed in most countries. That's genuinely significant. Most people buying one of these aren't licensed drone pilots, and the A1 is the only option here you can just take out and fly without paperwork. On the other hand, at 455 grams, the Avata requires a license to fly in most European and international jurisdictions. It's not a deal breaker if you're already certified, but for quite a few of you guys, depending on where you live, this could be a big deal. It is also worth mentioning that the A1's extended battery pushes its weight to 291 grams, which moves it right into that C1 category. So which battery you're using actually changes your legal situation. It's a small but important detail. Now let's move on to the exciting part, the FPV goggles. And once again, this is going to be an easy win for the A1, at least with the goggles that I was comparing it to, which are the DJI N3s. You can buy more expensive models, but this is the package that I was sent over. And unsurprisingly, on the A1, these are the standout feature of the entire package. I'm talking dual micro OLED panels, a pretty wide FOV with pancake lenses, and when you turn on immersive mode, you genuinely feel like you're floating in midair. There's pretty much nothing else like it at this price point. Additionally, the anti-gravity goggles come with a physical IPD dial and built-in diopter correction. If you wear glasses, the A1 goggles have you covered out of the box. The external display is also a pretty unique part of these. It mirrors the live view for your spectators and is a brilliant touch. It turns flying into something social, at least if you're in FPV mode. And in case you don't want it for whatever reason, you can also display custom animations on it. You also get a simulator built in right there in the goggles, which is how I actually learned to fly my first flight. The N3s, on the other hand, also get some wins from me, as image quality here can sometimes feel a little bit better, though the screens are smaller, so it could be harder to tell. Signal dropouts with DJI's system is also best in class, so you will find that signal on these does last a little bit longer, but the FOV is much smaller. It feels like watching a GoPro screen on a TV mounted to your head. You're basically looking at a rectangle surrounded by black. It's more immersive than a controller screen, but nothing close to a VR headset. Moving on to additional features, you've got no IPD adjustment, no diopter correction, and no pass-through camera. It is worth mentioning once again that these are the N3s, and DJI does sell more expensive models where these are an option. Head tracking is also often these by default. I have a feeling DJI did this intentionally to make it feel more like a traditional FPV experience, which makes sense, but it's one of those things that you have to dig dig into the settings for. The battery is also worth mentioning, as here it sits on the back of the headset instead of being on a lanyard. It's personal preference, and both options are actually very comfortable. The controller here is going to be a mixed bag. With the A1 grip, you point where you want to go. Pull the trigger, that's it. There's a dedicated photo button, dedicated video button, as well as a menu, C1 and C2 buttons. Everything is discoverable without reading a manual. This controller does also give it a pain point though, as the A1 can't actually fly backwards, but honestly, after a bit of time with it, this stops mattering. In FPV mode, you just tilt the controller and turn very quickly, and because it's a 360 drone, you can make it look like backwards flight in post anyway. The Avata 360 bundle came with the RC Motion 3. But the Avata 360 also works with the RC2, RCN2, and RCN3, meaning if you're already in the DJI ecosystem and have any DJI controller, you don't actually need to buy anything new. That's genuinely an ecosystem advantage, especially for people upgrading from older DJI drones. However, with the motion controller, you actually get fewer buttons, which is not always a good thing. Finding photo mode genuinely took me a little while without consulting the manual, and you might call me stupid, but that button on the controller has a record icon, so not everyone is going to be able to jump in right away and figure out that holding it switches to photo. The Avata can, however, fly backwards, which is a nice touch. That said, it's worth noting how the Avata actually achieves directional changes. It yaws to turn, meaning the camera rotates with the drone as it changes direction. This gives it a distinctly different feel compared to the A1's motion controller tilt. And flying backwards, in particular, could actually be pretty important for anyone doing more precise, controlled movements, where you can have absolutely no drift. With the A1, you'd have to simulate that in post. It is also worth mentioning that right now, the goggles are the only way to fly with the anti-gravity A1. There's no standalone handheld option. That means for things like Sky Genie shots of yourself, you always need the goggles on or nearby. However, I do actually have an update for you guys regarding this from anti-gravity, as they have told me that a remote controller is likely coming this summer, which is pretty exciting for those of you who prefer a more traditional flying experience without the goggles. Now, let's move on to some of the smart features, as this is going to be a pretty big deal for a lot of people. In the A1, everything is accessible from the goggles with the motion controller, whether that's Deep Track, where you get to follow an object, even through trees, which works impressively well by the way, or Sky Genie, which gives you 8 one-tap cinematic maneuvers. Skypath even lets you design and save waypoint routes that the drone can fly autonomously. This is especially useful if you want to repeat the same route in, let's say, sunrise and sunset, or give the goggles to a friend while the drone flies itself. The Avata 360 gets quite interesting here, as while it does have Active Track 360, Quick Shots, and Spotlight modes, none of those are available with the Motion 3 and DJI Goggles N3 bundle. They're locked to the RC2 standard controller, so in this head-to-head, the A1 simply has more accessible intelligent modes, which is definitely worth mentioning here, as I was quite used to DJI's smart modes on their Mavics, and coming into this, I assumed it would also have all of those modes accessible from the goggles, but no. Now, while we're on the topic of smart features, I feel like return to home is one of those things that a lot of people take for granted, and they just need it to work. And I have to say, the A1 does this better than the Avata, because if you have the landing mat, the A1 will actually return to home using GPS coordinates, and then it will use its camera in order to locate the landing mat and land directly on it. Currently, the Avata has nothing like this. It seems to return to home using just GPS coordinates and misses the mat quite often. What is quite useful here though, is that with the Avata, you get omnidirectional obstacle avoidance with forward-facing LiDAR. The Avata's LiDAR also works in low light. This is genuinely better than the A1, which will only get omni avoidance in a software update coming very, very soon, supposedly launching on April 27th, which is actually today. Now let's move on to image quality. On paper, the Avata wins here cleanly. It has 8K 60 FPS versus the 8K 30 FPS on the A1. It's got 10-bit color, D-Log and profiles, and slightly larger sensors at f1.9. And in bright sunny conditions, this certainly shows. The 10-bit color here is seriously helping it out compared to the 8-bit on the A1. It clips highlights way less and gives you a lot more room for color grading in the future. If you're a colorist who lives in log, the A1 is simply not for you. Another big win for the Avata here is the fact that you can actually flip its 360 camera 90 degrees and record in 16:9. This is brilliant for those that do not like the 360-degree workflow of having to reframe your shot in order to get exactly what you want. It's a big versatility option. You have one drone, two modes: 360 in case you want to record everything around you, and then standard framed video when you don't. The A1 shoots 360 only. Everything else you have to reframe in post. But depending on when you fly, you might actually close the gap, as in overcast or flat light, the difference definitely shrinks. The A1's footage is genuinely impressive for a 249-gram drone, and the live highlight clipping overlay in the goggles help you protect your image in bright conditions before it clips. Both drones also shoot in RAW and their respectable 360-degree formats, and allow for EV and other pro option adjusting during the flight. I do have to mention that this is a lot more intuitive to do inside anti-gravity's goggles. And just to finally mention that low light, the Avata has larger sensors and wider aperture, so it wins here. Neither drone is a low light specialist. Bright outdoor conditions are where both shine. Okay, now let's move on to the software and workflow. The Anti-Gravity Studio seems to be built on a fork of Insta360 Studio. The workflow feels natural. You import your clips, reframe, and then export. And one tap, Auto Edit can actually find highlight moments inside your clips and cut them all together. Since the drone shares a file format with Insta360's cameras, anyone coming from those would instantly feel at home. While in DJI Studio, the workflow is timeline-based, which means it could take longer to pull a single clip and export. There's no obvious quick export without going through the timeline editor, and seemingly no post-recording subject tracking. The software definitely feels like it's maturing here, and I actually had a few weird quirks with it after it wanted an update. That will improve, but right now, it's just not as smooth. One place where DJI does win though is Wi-Fi 6 transfer. This is via the DJI Fly app, where you can download roughly 1 gigabyte in 10 seconds, which means getting footage off the drone is very fast when you need it to be. Even though I'm not complaining about Anti-Gravity's app speeds either. I've actually used the app in order to transfer files really quickly from the drone to my phone, and I haven't found there to be any friction. And one thing worth noting really quick, before we get into charging, both drones actually have onboard storage built in. So even if you forget your microSD card, you're not out of luck, and this is super handy to have as a backup. Both drones also offer cinematic, normal, and sports modes, giving you full control over how the drone handles depending on your shot. In sports mode, the A1 tops out at around 58 kilometers per hour. That's 16 meters per second, while the Avata 360 reaches a max speed of 64 kilometers per hour in sports mode. Now let's talk about charging and battery life. The A1 comes with 24 minutes on the standard battery, and I can confirm that's actually accurate. The 3-battery hub charges sequentially, which means one is always fully charged while the others top up. The hub itself has a display, which sounds minor but is very useful, and with the high-capacity batteries, you can push 39 minutes of flight time. Just remember that throws you into C1 territory. The Avata, on the other hand, is rated at 23 minutes of flight time. The charger also has no display, but it does have a really cool feature where if you have DJI's special quick charger, it will actually charge all 3 batteries at once. Whereas if you have a charger that has less than 65 watts, it will charge them sequentially. So pretty cool option. And finally, let's move on to one of the most important things for quite a few of you guys: price. The closest apples-to-apples comparison is the Avata 360 Motion Fly More combo, which is the drone and 3 goggles, Motion 3, 3 batteries, the hub, and the bag, and that costs around 939 euros versus the A1 Explorer bundle, which has equivalent contents at about 1.6 thousand euro. And the A1 standard still costs more than the Avata combo. The price gap is real and significant. That is, depending on what you pick for the DJI Avata though, as if you decide to get all the things you need to get in order to have the same feature set as the Anti-Gravity A1, you might actually end up paying a comparable or even higher price. But with this bundle specifically, the Avata undercuts the A1 significantly, while offering competitive image quality, better specs on paper, and DJI's ecosystem. What the A1 charges a premium for is the entire system that you get with it. The fact that everything just works. The goggles experience, the sub 250 gram freedom, and a more complete smart feature set in the goggle setup. Whether that's worth the extra money is always a personal preference. So there you guys have it. What is the verdict? I'm not here to tell you which one is better and which one is worse. Both of these have their own unique features. I would say, get the A1 if goggle immersion is your priority, if sub 250 grams and no license matters to you, if you want your smart modes directly inside the goggle setup and a very nice intuitive user interface, as well as if portability is important to you. It's basically an all-in-one solo kit. While the Avata, on the other hand, you should definitely be taking a look at if you need that 10-bit color and D-Log recording, as well as the nice benefit of being able to record 16:9 in single lens mode. If you already own DJI gear, it's also a very nice win because it supports those multiple controllers. Either way though, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you once again to Anti-Gravity for sponsoring this one, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night wherever you are in the world, and in case you guys are interested in grabbing the A1, the link down below will actually get you a free 65-watt GAN charger if you're in the EU, or an anti-gravity flight battery that is worth over $100 if you're in North America. And on top of all that, Anti-Gravity is actually holding a massive Prime Day sale right now, where you can get up to 25% off and up to 20% off on accessories and gear. So make sure to check out that link down below. And if you like this one, please leave a like. If you disliked it, I guess this button works too, but let me know why down below. If you're not yet part of our community, check out our Discord and our Reddit down below, where I want to see you posting your spicy beams. And thank you so much to all the Patrons supporting this channel. You guys are amazing. Seriously, much love. And thank you so much to any new patrons that have joined us. And as usual, if you want to be notified about future content coming up on the channel, make sure to smack that subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace.